Hey there, it's Monday and it's time for Monday Mastery. I'm author and dating coach Rick Sodebeer, and I'm so glad you're here. And no matter where here is, I happen to be in Lenexa, Kansas right now, and I'm in my RV and enjoying the warm weather here. We've got another week's worth of warm weather, mid to upper 80s, and then we have a little bit of a cold spell next weekend, and we're back up into the high 70s and low 80s again. So perfect fall weather here, and I am enjoying it compared to what I had back in Michigan when I was there. But after I left, the weather warmed up. So what do you do? Anyway, the story of my life. Anyway, I hope you all had a great weekend and a wonderful week prior. And if you've got any dating questions or dating stories, please share them and we'll if you want to talk about them. It's one of the best ways to learn is to talk about your situation and figure out what's going on and what's happening and why it's happening. And one of the things that I want to talk about today is how much effort that we actually put into dating. For those of us that are single and some of us have been single for a while. I've been divorced for 13 years now, over 13 years. And it's I was asked by a client if I was married, and I had to explain that no, I'm not married, and part of that is by choice because I don't want to end up in a relationship that is going to go wrong. And statistically, that is what happens when we go to our second marriage or third marriage, because the more times we're married, you see, 60% of first marriages survive. We're all told that 50% of marriages fail, but the actual statistics are that 60% or very close to it, 60% of first marriages survive. It's those other 40% that don't survive that up the ante on the divorce statistics, because second marriages, 63% of the second marriages fail, and 71% of third marriages fail. And it only gets worse from there. And those aren't my statistics. Those are statistics from the US Census Bureau. They're the ones that compiled that information. And it's really convoluted when you first look at it from the surface, because they've got it broken down in so many ways that there was actually a legal firm that went through and has compiled those numbers based on the Census Bureau statistics. So it's the my point here is that we have to be careful about what we do with our second or third marriages. We have to be very intentional. We have to date intentionally. We have to, well, you don't have to do anything, but I recommend that you date intentionally, that you know what you want when you're going into your next relationship, that what you don't want. Although most people, when I first talk to them, they know more about what they don't want, especially if you're recently out of a bad marriage. And this goes more for divorced people as opposed to widows and widowers. Generally speaking, widows and widowers have had at least it's my experience. Now I know, and I've talked to some that have had poor marriages, and they it's a relief for them to be out of that marriage. But a vast majority of the people that I talk to and that ask me questions, they come from a strong marriage, and they look at their marriages as extraordinary or soulmate relationships, and they question whether they can actually have that again. And to those of you that are widowed or widows or widowers, I should say, yes, you can have that again, because I firmly believe we have more than one soulmate. We have more than one extraordinary relationship available to us. It's just a matter of which one we find first, or which one we find next. And so when we look at relationships, and oh, back to my story, I am single because primarily for the primary reason is for the last 6 years I've been traveling between Michigan and for the first 3 years, Green Valley, which is on the east side of Kansas City, and now I'm parked in Lenexa, but and now I winter in the south. So it's very difficult to date, and not that I can't. It's when I'm up north, there just isn't a huge population up there, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just stating facts. And when I'm up there, I'm usually tied up doing things on my building, doing things for coaching. All that stuff goes on, no matter where I'm at. So I'm blessed right now because I can move around. I can talk to my clients. I can put my course online, which is coming soon. It's a relaunch of my course is coming up very, very soon. So watch for that. And so consequently, I don't spend a lot of time, and I don't put a lot of effort into dating, which is what I see in a lot of people. And the difference being that I don't complain that I'm single. I don't complain that I'm alone. I don't complain that I haven't got a date for Friday night or Saturday night. And so, but what I do hear is a lot of disappointment, a lot of complaints from people that don't have a date. They don't have someone in their life. They don't have a companion. And when I ask them, well, how many dates have you had in the last week? Well, none. How about the last month? None. How about the last year? Well, 4. So if you start thinking about it, that's one date every 3 months. And the part about dating is, if you're really serious about finding your soulmate or your extraordinary relationship, however you want to phrase it, that's up to you. I don't care. To me, it's the same thing. For you to be able to find your extraordinary relationship, you have to put in some effort. You have to go out and be social. You have to get out. And I'm not just talking about saying, hi, how you doing? You have to get in, and when you're being social, it might be at a meetup group. You really have to spend some time getting to know somebody, learning who they are, learning what they want, what they're looking for in a relationship. And I mean, you don't have to grill them. It doesn't have to be you don't have to give them a 3rd degree like they're in a police investigation. Where were you? What are you doing? What time did you get home? You don't have to do that kind of stuff. Just have a conversation, and with very simple questions, you can find out if this is somebody that you really want to get to know more, or if it's somebody that's next. Well, it's been great talking to you. I'm going to go socialize with a few other people, and before I make my way out of here. And you can be polite. You don't have to spend your entire evening talking to somebody, but you need to spend time getting to know people, and more than just superficially. You might get into a conversation about what was your favorite vacation. As a child, what is your favorite memory from childhood? There's plenty of questions that you can ask about that. But the key part here is that you have to be active. You have to be an active participant in your dating life. You can't, and so many people have told me, well, God will bring the right one to me. Yes, he will. But you can't be sitting at home on your couch waiting. Unless you expect it to be the UPS man or the mailman, and they don't even have meter readers anymore, so you can't have a gas meter or a water meter reader come by and be your next extraordinary relationship. So you have to get out and be active, and you need to do more than just one date a quarter. You should be dating actively if you really want to get into a new relationship. And that takes effort, it takes work. It means going on at least one date a week. At least one date a week. Now, if you're really ambitious, you'll set up 30 dates in a month or 28 dates in a month. Give yourself a couple days off in the middle and just meet a lot of different people. And then at the end of the month, you start to figure out who you like and who you don't, and who's worthy of another date and who's not. And you can explain to them, this is my process, this is what I'm doing, I've got 28 dates set up, and this is how it's going to work. Now, if you find somebody in the meantime, you can obviously stop and cancel all those other dates and say, yeah, okay, I'm gonna settle down with this guy and see where this goes. I've had that happen to me. I've had a couple of dates with somebody and said, nope, I've been talking to this other person also, and I think they're a better fit, and there we go. Hang on one second. I've had comments turned off. Hey, Jacqueline, what am I funny about? Huh? I didn't see when that came in. So anyway, it's, if you have the opportunity, you have to get out, you have to be social, and you have to be an active participant in your dating life. It's that simple. It's not going to happen magically. There's no magic wand that Coach Rick can wave over you and make everything simple, make everything easy. There's just a certain amount of effort you have to put in, and only you can. Oh, Jacqueline says, when you said the UPS man isn't going to bring you your date, you have to be going out and making it. Yes, yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you for that, Jacqueline. Yeah, you do have to go out and make things happen. God will bring the right person to you, but you have to be patient, and you have to be willing to not settle. And again, that's so critical, because as a society, we just have been programmed to settle. In especially in the last 50 years or even 60 years, we've, through television, through radio, through print ads, we've been told that we deserve the best when it comes to the best home, the best neighborhood, the best schools, the best clothes, the best cars, the best vacations, the best food. But when it comes to dating, when it comes to our relationships, we're told that we can't have it all, that we can't have everything. And it breaks my heart, because yes, we can, because every person that I've talked to that's been that is in a soulmate relationship has told me the same thing, that their partner has brought more to the relationship than they ever could have imagined. So just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it can't happen. And Jacqueline says the one has to realize what kind of mind you're looking for, where you're going, where are you going to meet that man? If you go to a ball, what are you going to Oh, I see. Yep, yep, yep. If you're going to a ball, you're going to get a certain kind of man. If you're going to go to a church, you're going to get another. Well, you might get both, depending. And you have to decide what kind of man do you want. Am I correct? Yes, you are. But that's Jacqueline. That's where the must-have and deal-breaker list comes in. You have to know what you're looking for. You have to know what your deal breakers are, and it won't make any difference where you're looking. Oh, no problem, Jacqueline. Voice texting is fine. It's just sometimes it, just sometimes my my reading capabilities or my reading skills are a little bit off. But anyway, I'll admit there are days that I'm a very poor reader because I don't read every day. I listen to a lot of stuff, but I don't read. So if I stumble across some comments, please forgive me. It's something I need to work on is my reading skills. And see, I talk about what can you do to improve yourself. One of the things that I can do to improve myself, and this is a perfect example, I can improve my reading skills. It's just there are some things that we can do that may seem like they're not going to have an impact, but can have a major impact just on how we proceed through life. Improving for just as my example for improving reading skills, that can allow me to read more literature. It can allow me to be better versed in a number of subjects. It's another way of learning because I do a lot of audiobooks. But when we combine the auditory and the visual and kinesthetic, we can improve the retention. So there's a lot of benefit for listening to something and then going back and reading the hard copy. It's just another way of retaining information. So but I digress. So but again, that's another way of improving yourself. Can you improve your reading skills? Can you improve your travel knowledge? Travel more, get out and travel. And you don't have to go to distant lands like Jacqueline and jet around the world. But and I'm not picking on you, Jacqueline. I think that's so awesome that you get to do that. But you can just take a trip an hour, 2 hours down the road. We have the bridges of Madison County about 2 hours north of here, and it would be a fun trip if there was somebody to go with. And a lot of time, and that's another thing. A lot of times we postpone things or don't do things because we don't have someone to go with. We don't have a partner. Yes, we can ask a girlfriend or a guy friend, say, hey, let's go up here and do that. And although if I asked any of my guy friends, hey, let's go take a look at the bridges of Madison County, yeah, right. I'd much rather go to a baseball game, although that season just ended, or the regular season did, and we got football and I guess there's soccer and some other things, but there's it's more fun to share life with somebody special. We can all share it with friends and acquaintances, but it's so much more impactful, uh, and so much more memorable when you can do that with somebody that means something to you, that you're partners with. So anyway, it back to your comment, Jacqueline. You can be looking for a gentleman in virtually any place. And guys, you can be looking for a lady in any place. But the key is to know what you're looking for ahead of time. And that's why I keep going back to setting your boundaries by using your must have and your deal breaker lists. That's that's crucial to keep you focused on what's important to you. And so many times, like I said earlier, we're told that when it comes to relationships, we should settle because we can't have everything we want. And I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. It's a matter of figuring out what you want ahead of time so that you know and you're prepared. We're all going to go on wonderful dates. We're going to have a great time. There's going to be a chemistry there, there's going to be infatuation, and before you know it, you're dating, you're in a relationship, but then the infatuation starts to wear off, the chemistry starts to wear off a little bit, because that's where all that chemistry comes from, is the what I call the raging hormones of infatuation. That's where you get the tingles, the weak knees, the butterflies in your stomach. All that stuff goes away. It's all really nice in the beginning, and it's exciting and it's fun, and but it all goes away. That part is only temporary. So it isn't until that stuff fades away that you really get to start seeing, what is this other person all about? Are they who they said they were? Are they who I thought they were? And we all can dream up or conjure up pictures of who we think they are, who we want them to be. And this is a big problem, and it was my problem in the beginning of my relationship with my now ex-wife. Is I thought there were things about her that I could change, and I couldn't. And I didn't understand that. And the more we tried to change each other, the worse our relationship got. And it got to a point where it was just brutal. I mean, it was it was a lonely relationship. And I'm just preaching to the choir here. I'm sure you all know, you all understand those types of things. We've all been in relationships for a variety of different reasons. But had I known then what I know now, I never would have gotten into that relationship. I would have ended that relationship within the first 30 or 45 days, because there were warning signs. And those are the things that we ignore, or we believe that we have to accept. If we have this nice stack of things, of must-haves, or nice stack of characteristics, or bundle of characteristics, however you want to frame it, that we have to accept this other bundle of not so good stuff. And we don't. And everybody's going to have flaws. Don't misunderstand me. There are some flaws that we're willing to live with, and some that we're not. But the ones that you're not willing to live with, you shouldn't live with. And that's, by most people, that's what we're told we need to accept. Well, you love him. Well, so what? I've shared this story a couple of times, that there's a woman I just absolutely love, but there are some things that are absolute deal breakers for both of us. And as much as we love each other, it's not a relationship. We can't be in a relationship together. So, you have to be very selective. And that's not always easy. It hurts to walk away from some very good relationships, overall. And, there will be people, there will be coaches that tell you that, no, you need to work through it. You need to slog through it. And you go to and this is why I got into this business, is, when I was going through my divorce, there were so many books on how to fix a broken marriage. There was virtually nothing on how to pick the right person to begin with. And so that's why I started dissecting what I had done right and what I had done wrong. And what I came to the conclusion is that I had blinders on, and I didn't see or pay attention to all the problems. And so that's why it's so important to pay attention to all the little details. Step back out of the infatuation, go through your must-have list, go through your deal breaker list, and see if they're meeting all your needs, if they're meeting all of your must-haves, or if they're displaying any of your deal breakers, or displaying any other warning signs, because there may be things that they're displaying that you don't have on your list. And these lists should be dynamic, not static. It's not, let's sit down tonight and write this list out and see where we go. It's a matter of let's keep adding to the list as we go and go from there. It's a we all should be a work in progress. Our list should be a work in progress. We should be a work in progress. We should continually be striving to be a better person. And when you find that right person, when you find your soulmate or your extraordinary mate, you'll find that you want to be a better person every day just for them. They'll enhance your life just as you'll enhance theirs. So this is a situation where you want to spend as much time up front looking, so that you're not going to a therapist, you're not going to a counselor, you're not going to your pastor and trying to save a broken marriage. Because what you get into there is you get into counseling and therapy that, you need to change this and she needs to change that, or vice versa, and they start to, they try to get you to change. And sometimes, don't misunderstand me, sometimes those are changes for the better. But why not find the right person up front? Then you're not trying to change each other. Granted, you'll both change for each other, but it won't be because you have to. It won't be because you need to try to protect the relationship. It will be, oh, if I do this, if I become a better husband, this is what will happen in the relationship. So if you guys have any questions, toss it in, and we'll go from there. But it goes back to putting in the effort up front. And I promise you, when you put in more effort up front, you're going to have better results on the back end. You're going to be the couple that other couples strive to become. And I can't emphasize this enough, that the hardest work is up front. It's the going on the next 20 dates or whatever, how many dates you set up. But you should be going on at least one date a week, with somebody new, until you find your soulmate. Because you're just occasionally going on a date is you're going to spend years looking. Years. So you have to spend a significant amount of time in the dating process. And then I promise you, when you get to the other side of that, when you do find the right person, it will be so much easier, and the relationship will be comfortable. And I don't know how to describe it any other way. It is just incredibly comfortable, because you know each other very well. You understand each other's wants and needs and desires. And I mean, then there's a learning curve up front. Don't misunderstand me. You're not just going to magically know who they are and what they want and what they need and what their likes are, what their dislikes are. That takes time. But when you're with that special one, that time together is, I hate to use the word magical, but it is somewhat magical. I'll go back to the word comfortable. It's just very comfortable, because it's so easy. It's so easy to connect. It's so easy to to work together. It's so easy to work through problems. And you're going to have problems, but they're not going to be to the extent of some of the relationships that we came from. It's we're going to be able to talk through things. We're going to be able to work through the hard things. And you're going to get your feelings hurt. They're going to get their feelings hurt. But because of the relationship that you have with each other, you're going to naturally want to work things out. And in doing so, you strengthen that relationship. You strengthen your marriage. And there's nothing more gratifying than being in that type of relationship. And just because you've never experienced that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's probably one of the most extraordinary feelings in the world. And when you and it just makes it so much easier to work things out when you have that, because you communicate better. If you're communicating similarly, similar love languages, which I highly recommend that you find somebody that speaks similar love languages, because it's so much easier. It's so much easier to figure out how to communicate with your partner that way, because it comes naturally to you and it comes naturally to them. So, how much effort are you willing to put into finding your extraordinary relationship? How much effort are you willing to put into finding at least a date a week? Are you willing to go online? Are you willing to be social and go out and ask? And to Jacqueline's question, or her comment is, you can go to all those places and still be looking for the same guy. He can be in both places. It just depends on your list. And a lot of you ask me, well, Rick, where do you find somebody? Well, what are the characteristics that you're looking for? You have to know that up front, because it makes it so much easier to identify where you look. Do you want a guy that's physically active, that likes sports, that is likes nature, does whatever it is you want, likes to hold hands? What are the things on your list? Then those are the places you should look. Spend time at the golf course. Spend time. Although I read an interesting statistic the other day that putting golf on your online dating profile only gets about a 13% response. There are other factors that get much higher response than the fact that you play golf. It seems counterintuitive, but studies have shown that putting golf on your online profile. Hey Liz, thanks for joining in. Putting golf on your online profile is not necessarily a beneficial feature. Liz says it is magical, and as the relationship went on, it actually got even more beautiful. Yes, life changes daily, but when that special relationship is there, it gets you through whatever you have to, or whatever life hands you. I was very fortunate. Yes, and see, Liz is a perfect example of what I was talking about a little bit ago about widows and widowers typically have experienced that magic, and it being such a comfortable relationship, and just like she says, it continues to get more comfortable. It continues to get better as it goes. And so that's why it's so important. It's so important to not settle for anything less than extraordinary. And Liz is a perfect example of that. She didn't settle. She she was fortunate enough to find a great guy to begin with, had a great life with him, and she's so she has a high standard now when it comes to dating. And Liz and I have talked about this a little bit. Um, and so we've shared a couple of things, but it's her testimony is exactly what I try to share with you. And it's just so powerful when you hear it from somebody other than me, or at least it is to me. So anyway, um, how much effort are you willing to put in? I'm still throwing that question out there, and seeing what, and I know some of you will respond after the show because you don't get to watch it. You don't get to watch it live. But what are the parameters for your effort? Is it once a week? Is it twice a week? The woman that helped me co-author my book Dating Backward, and there was one week she had 5 dates, and 2 of them were on one on one day. I thought, holy moly, I have a tough time keeping track of that. You almost need a client management system or a personnel management system to keep all the stories and facts straight. And that's another part about dating and online dating. You get to meet a lot of different people, and it's as many of you that complain about it, there are still a lot of great features about it. You get to meet people or come in contact with people that you would never normally meet in your daily walk through life. You get to experience different people. You get to learn different wants, needs, and desires. You may talk to somebody and say, yeah, no, this guy just isn't the right one for me, but he did this, he said this, or he had, and that's what I want. I really want that in my next relationship. So there are a lot of advantages to online dating. And you also have the advantage of being able to weed out a lot of people even before you contact them. And that may be the negative side, because there's a lot of profiles, a lot of resumes, so to speak, that you have to go through to find the ones that you want to date. But that's the way it is everywhere. You can go to a bar, and there's nothing, and ladies, I know you're going to maybe get your hackles up on this one, but there's nothing wrong with going to a bar like we used to do. That's how most of us met our spouses in the first place. Unless you maybe met your spouse at school, or and I know situations like that, but so many of us met our spouses in the bars, because we were going out, we were partying, but we were listening to music, we were hanging with our friends, we were playing pool, playing foosball, dancing, all these things that brought us together to be social. And it's so easy to get hung up on these things that and it goes back to what I said, is you have to get up off the couch, get out and go places, go do things. And that's how you get to meet people. You get to have a conversation with them. You can have a conversation, you can start with a text conversation, but you don't know if there's chemistry until you actually are face to face. I've had great phone conversations with a couple of different women over the years, and you get face to face and it's absolutely dead air. There's nothing. It's there was no chemistry. There was no attraction. It all looked great on paper. And we can get. And I was visiting with a client this last week, and he said that he's gone from falling in love with online profiles to questioning, well, is this the real person? What are they really like? And it's so easy. We can get infatuated with the profile and say, oh my gosh, and I've been there. I've done that. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is the one. I can't believe, and you send a message, you send another message, you send a third message, and nothing. Yeah. You're just out in the cold. But then you don't know what's going on the other end. You don't even know if she's still a member. You don't know if she's a paying member. Her profile may be there, and she may not be able to respond to your messages depending on the site. So there's and if you're looking for decent dating sites, I was just reviewing some. The most popular tend to be Tinder, which is more of a hookup site, but Bumble is a really decent site. I use it especially because I travel a lot, and it opens up the opportunities to. And I'm not sponsored by Bumble or Tinder or anybody. It's just I find the app to be reasonably okay. And you're whenever you use the apps, you have to pay attention. You are the consumer. You have to beware. It's customer beware. You have to know what the latest scams are. You have to know what the latest dubious things are. And that's easy enough to find out with a simple Google search. What are the latest dating scams? And you'll see profiles that I know that the ones that I've seen recently, they say they're 60 or 65 or 70, and they don't look a bit over 40, and if that. And so, there are some profiles that you can just automatically tell are a little bit shady, and you just swipe past. You don't even bother to explore. It's just like, yeah, that's too good to be true. And just use the old saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So anyway, I think I've probably ranted and raved enough tonight. The whole premise of tonight's conversation was to get you out, get you, if you can't get out, use an online service, use a dating app. Like I said, Match is still okay. Christian Mingle, from what I've seen lately, is okay. But you can even get ratings on those. Just Google it. Just search some of that stuff and find out. Give one a try. If that doesn't work, try another one. And I wouldn't recommend going on multiple sites at one time. If you want to do two, that's fine. But to go on 3 or 4 or 5, you're going to start finding the same people on each of these sites. And there are career specific sites. There are interest based sites. You can. A couple of years ago, I was doing research on this, and I came across a Stephen King dating site. It was a site for people that liked Stephen King, and okay, there are those people out there, but there's ethnic and racial race based dating sites. Black, Indian, Chinese, or Oriental, whatever it is. And then there's millionaire dating sites. It's whatever. And you have to. I mean, for some of those sites, you have to prove that you have the means to be there. because they're millionaires may be looking for other millionaires. So, that's there might be some qualification there. So anyway, the point is, be social, be out there. Ladies, don't discount the bars, because there's a lot of great places to go. Grab a girlfriend or two and go out and be social. Try not to get into packs of 8 or 10 or 12, because that just discourages the heck out of guys. There's when you're in a pack that large, or in a group that large, it's all over. Just forget about having a guy come over to you and ask you to dance, or start a conversation with you. Just it's almost the odds are extremely low. But when there's just 2 or 3 of you, absolutely. But you have to be open to it. And you might have to flirt, ladies. You might have to wink at them. You might have to buy them a drink. You might have to do something to start the conversation. That's the way it used to be done. So many people tell me today, well, I'm old-fashioned. And this is more ladies. I'm more old-fashioned. The man has to do all the work. Well, no. How do we know you're interested unless you give us hints? We are very dense that way. We don't know whether you're just being socially polite, or you're giving us a signal that, hey, I'd really like to get to meet you. So you have to be open to those types of things. You have to be open to saying, hey, let's go for coffee. Let's go for a cocktail. Or, I've enjoyed our conversation. Can we continue this over a cup of coffee? I'm going over to Starbucks now. Hey, Maria. Thanks for joining in. Thank you. I would love to, this is on a side note, I would love to visit with you and just see if there's any ways that we can collaborate. So if you're open for that, just shoot me a message and let's talk. But anyway, it's there are so many ways of getting to know somebody, and ladies, again, I can't express enough that guys can be really, really dumb or really, really dense. And you can be flirting with us full speed and we'll just not even pick up on it. So you sometimes have to make the invitation and say, hey, I'd like to meet you for coffee. Let's go to, let's continue this conversation over coffee. Let's go to Starbucks or whatever your favorite Caribou coffee, or I'm not a coffee drink. I've never learned how to drink coffee, so I don't know what the hot places are. I don't if Starbucks is still a big place. I know there's a little place in my hometown of Ironwood, Michigan, and I forget what the name of it is. The Copper Cup, I think. And I swear that little place has a line every day waiting for people waiting to get in there. But they also sell marijuana, and they've got people lined up outside waiting to get in to buy marijuana too. So, to each his own, I guess. But I wouldn't recommend saying, hey, let's go get some pot and smoke a joint and get to know each other. That's, although that used to be done in the day too. So back in my youth. So it probably still is done, but I'm not a part of that world anymore. It never was, but there who did it back then, and anyway. So that's it. Let's wrap this up for tonight, and if you thanks for checking in, Jacqueline, Liz, and Maria, and hope to see you all again next week. I will be right back here on Monday at 6 p.m. Central Time, and for another Monday Mastery. I don't know what the topic will be. I've been kind of enjoying these random thought days because it just for me they just flow a little better. I don't know if they're more interesting for you, but they seem to flow a little easier for me, and they don't stress me out as much. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful week, and be safe, and be back here next Monday. And I love you guys, and thanks for checking in, and we'll see you next week.